So the emergence of agency, or how phenomenological methods can guide scientific research. Phenomenology was first considered a direct method for behavioral sciences by Varela's neurophenomenology, assuming that first-person experience is irreducible to third-person construct. The method of neurophenomenology, in full neuropsychoevolutionary phenomenology, is designed to validate mutually first and third-person behavioral accounts. Such mutual validation requires participants skilled in reporting the first-person experience. In neurophenomenology, mutual validation requires trained participants. Varela suggested three main case studies or large issues to test neurophenomenology. Attention, later investigated by Leeuwen and colleagues. Present-time consciousness, examined by Varela himself, and body image and voluntary immersion, the sense of agency to these terms, which neurophenomenological studies have never addressed. By contrast, the sense of agency has been approached by another phenomenological method, front-loaded phenomenology, proposed by Gallagher. Here, the idea is to incorporate phenomenological insight into the design of experiments. The phenomenological insights can be derived from previous studies. Therefore, mutual validation can be performed across different studies. And thus, mutual validation does not require training in every single study. Without the necessity of trained participants, Gallagher's proposal enables explorations at the limits of life, fetal stages, for example. As we stated, front-loaded phenomenology has been applied to agency. Gallagher's account of agency, the sense that I am the one who is causing or generating an action, has been incorporated into neuroimaging studies, such as Shamida and Cees, Farah and Fried, and Farah and colleagues. However, these studies from the 2000s suffer from issues such as low statistical power, lack of replicability, and low reproducibility. To overcome these issues, we adapt front-loaded phenomenology to redefine agency and incorporate this redefinition into third-person behavioral research. We redefine agency by Husserl's phenomenological reduction. Phenomenological reduction is a method to identify the essence, the necessary structure of a phenomenon. This through epoché, which is a bracketing, a suspension of belief in an established truth. And then by imagining alternative forms of the phenomenon, the so-called eidetic variations. In the crisis, Husserl reduces agency to the activity of holding sway, kinesthesis, my own original experience holding sway, the sole original experience of living bodiness. Here, Husserl means that we experience ourselves by proprioception. So on one side, there is proprioception, the body, but Husserl continues in his reduction of agency. I experience only in my own living body, in my immediate holding sway over my surroundings. Through bodily holding sway, I act as ego. Primarily, I'm the object in the world. So, through proprioception, we control environmental events. If on one side there is our body, on the other, there are our surroundings, the objects in the world, our environment, with which we interact through proprioception, the body. Agency is therefore a two-sided experience. The scope of agency has two complementary sides, body and environment. We then call bodily and extended agency the two complementary sides whose scope is, respectively, the body and the environment. In specific, bodily agency is the awareness of being engaged in movement. It is the sense by which we experience our body, the sense that defines the boundaries of our body. And in this respect, bodily agency coincides with proprioception or kinesthesia. By contrast, if bodily agency defines the body boundaries, then the agency to be felt must exceed these bodily boundaries. And precisely, extend the agency is the sense of controlling through movement events temporally related to those movements. For example, a manifestation of extended agency might be the so-called mobile conjugate reinforcement, where the infant, 3 months after birth, feels that its kicking can move a mobile when its foot is tied to the mobile. That is, the sense of controlling through kicking an event, such as mobile motion, temporally related to kicking. So we incorporate the two sides of agency into behavioral research. We first reconstruct the ontogenesis of bodily agency by systematic review. Bodily agency may stem from the patterns of coordination that humans scatter very early on in their ontogenesis, pre- and postnatally. Prenatally, maternal-fetal heartbeat coordination, and postnatally, maternal neonatal turn-taking in feeding. Regarding prenatal life, in the last phase of gestation, and precisely between the 34th and the 40th week, the fetal heartbeat begins to coordinate with the maternal heartbeat. And this coordination is established by phase locking. The fetal maternal phase locking is triggered by maternal respiratory sinus arrhythmia, RSA. In RSA, the mother paces her breathing at high rates. Through this pacing, the maternal respiration entrains maternal heartbeat at rates to which fetal heartbeat is capable of phase locking. And thus, fetal and maternal heartbeats become coordinated. This coordination is intermittent because it spans epochs of 15, 20 seconds at most. And this coordination, phase locked epochs alternate with non-phase locked epochs. That is, fetal heartbeat alternates between two states, constrained fluctuations when phase locked and spontaneous fluctuations when non-phase locked. Undergoing these two different states, the fetus may begin to approach a primordial alterity, in which intermittently the fetus is attracted to and free from the imposed rhythms of the environment. Heartbeat coupling can also occur after birth, but regarding postnatal life, the process of constituting bodily agency may be refined by the encounter with another pattern of coordination, cue-taking, which emerges in breast or bottle feeding. In feeding, the baby spontaneously sucks in bursts of 4 to 10 sucks, 1 suck per second. In between bursts, the mother spontaneously jiggles her baby for 15 seconds. After that, the baby resumes sucking, and the feeding cycle repeats itself. Within 2 weeks after birth, a pattern of tune-taking becomes established. In tune-taking, the baby acquaints with the other, an alterity endowed with responsivity. During sucking, the baby assumes an active role and, as subject, addresses the mother, who becomes the object of its attention. Conversely, in jiggling, the baby assumes a passive role and becomes the object of the mother's jiggling. And through the repeat interaction of sucking and jiggling, of addressing and being addressed, the baby may become aware of the possibility of being both subject and object. And therefore, sooner or later, it may begin to address itself reflexively. And to begin to address itself means to begin to develop self-awareness. A primordial self-awareness enables the maturation of bodily agency. And that bodily agency is the self-awareness of being engaged in movement. Having reconstructed the ontogenesis of bodily agency, we now test the emergence of the other side of agency, extended agency, in a controlled experiment. A case of extended agency is Spicer's effect. The effect emerges in tasks involving rhythmic coordination. In Spicer's original task, adult participants synchronized the rhythmic closing and opening of the hand with the on-off state of a flashing stimulus. Specifically, participants had to close the hand in synchrony with the on state of the flashes, and conversely, open the hand in synchrony with the off state. When they perceived to be synchronized, participants felt to be controlling, through the hand movement, the flash onset. And this even though they knew that the maternal were computer controlled, the flashes were computer controlled. However, Spicer's experiment involves neither control condition nor the operationalization of a hand flashes coordination. So, to overcome the issues of Spicer's experiment, we designed an experiment involving two tasks, coupled and uncoupled tasks. For both tasks, the rhythmic movement required was finger tapping to a flashing asterisk. In the coupled task, adult participant had to tap their finger in time to the stimulus. In the uncoupled task, out of time to the stimulus. So the uncoupled task provided a control condition. To overcome the issue of operationalization, coordination of finger tapping to the flashes was measured by the correlation of serial asynchronous or response times. To provide valid measures of agency, we adopt explicit measures such as concurrent verbal reports. Specifically, participants pronounce monosyllabic words while tapping. They add on and off when they perceive to be controlling the stimulus onset and offset, respectively. And the other know if they lost perceptual control. We subjected a series of asynchronous or response times to fractal analysis. We estimated the past exponent, h, a measure of the correlation structure in the series. H is defined between 0 and unity. If h is equal to 0.5, the points of a series are uncorrelated. Otherwise, they are correlated. For the coupled task, h always differs from 0.5 across conditions. Therefore, the asynchronous were correlated in every coupled task series. Concurrently, tapping was accompanied by a sense of control. By contrast, for the uncoupled task, h is always statistically equal to 0.5. Therefore, in every uncoupled task series, the response time were uncorrelated. And concurrently, no sense of control emerged. Results show that coordination, measured by correlation, is necessary and sufficient for extended agency to emerge. Indeed, sense of control and correlation were invariably present in the coupled task and invariably absent in the uncoupled task. In logic, the sense of control and correlation, coupled task, or no sense of control and no correlation, uncoupled task, which is equivalent to the mutual entailment, extended agency emerges if and only if coordination is established. Hence the necessity and sufficiency of coordination for extended agency to emerge. In our experiment, the presence of correlation in the series indicates the presence of a metastable, not perfectly stable, coordination. This metastability is because the series are stochastic processes, not deterministic. And just metastability is a principle of perceptual grouping. For example, in visual perception, Gabor patches are these sinusoidal gradings. Now, suppose that these Gabor patches change serially the spatial frequency. And suppose that in a particular region, these changes are metastably coordinating time, not perfect synchrony. Then this region, by metastable coordination, emerges as a global figure of local Gabor patches. Perceptual grouping may likewise occur in our couple task. There, finger tapping synchronizes, or even better, metastably coordinates with the flashing stimulus. Thus, changes in proprioception, the finger displacement tapping, are temporally related to changes in vision, the on-off states of the flashes. In detail, an adult participant, being mature, immediately perceives proprioception or bodily agency as soon as finger tapping begins. But when a metastable coordination is established, the bodily agency, first confined within the body, extends to the visual stimulus, becoming a sensor controlling through tapping event, such as the flashes, temporally related to tapping. Just as local Gabor patches give rise to a global figure, here a global cross-modal gestalt may emerge, where the proprioception of the hand integrates with the vision of the flashes. Thus, a phenomenon of extended agency may arise. To conclude, we show that front-loading phenomenology enables us to identify the two-sidedness of agency, bodily and extended agency, and that both sides stem from sensorimotor coordination. More broadly, our studies show that phenomenological methods provide rigorous accounts of experience that can strengthen the validity of our behavioral research. Finally, let me thank Cees van Leeuwen, Ricardo Luccio, Scott Carson, Sean Gallagher for their support. And I want to thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have two questions. In fact, maybe let's start with the first one. Like you make this distinction between body agency and external agency. But how do you make that difference exactly? So, because every agentic experience is like also even of an external event is tied to a bodily action too. So both involve, so to say, bodily action. So what makes them distinct?
I said that they are complementary. We did a distinction only to study, but we never had a clear cut between them, because every sense of control depends from our bodily agents, of course. And on the other hand, any bodily movement has an effect in the world. If I wave my hand, I have the tactile sensation of the hair displacement. And this is an event of the world, a feedback that I have from our bodily movement.
Can I ask a second? Or the second different question is, you are quite making the focus on proprioception being the one for body agency. When you say proprioception, what senses do you exactly mean? Because the kinesthetic experience is multisensory.
I mean proprioception in a phenomenological terms. That is the sense of being, the self-awareness of being engaged in movement. This is quite different from, it is basically the phenomenological kinesthesia, the first person experience. I know that usually in many studies, it is considered as a third person concept, but in Gibson, James Gibson is a third person concept. This is physicalist. Here we meant in terms of phenomenological terms. So in terms of first person experience.
The thing about the coupling, when they're tapping, what was the uncoupled case?
You have to tap out of time.
They have to just ignore the stimulus.
No, they see the stimulus, but they don't have to synchronize with it.
It's pretty difficult, right?
Yes, indeed. We use shorter time series. Yes, we did. This is not a problem because we work on the correlation structure, and we use maximum likelihood estimation that is consistent also with time series short. It was time series of more than 100 points, and with maximum likelihood estimation, it is a valid and consistent estimator for that length of the series.
What was the first exponent measured from?
The Astor exponent is a measure of the correlation structure of a series. That is the point.
The intervals, tapping intervals.
Because you can use also inter-tap intervals. We use the asynchronous or response times. That is, the asynchronous is what is considered the stimulus onset. It is centered, and then half period before negative asynchronous and half period after the stimulus onset, which are the positive asynchronous.
So it's the correlation between these asynchronies.
In the coupled task, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm interested in your distinction between bodily and extended agency. And I'm wondering how you think about if we can apply this distinction in offline cognition. So for example, like imagination, memory, and dreaming. I'm thinking about because recently, like Sean Gallagher and others have argued that, well, in this kind of offline cognition, the experience is still an embodied experience. So like we still have an egocentric center in our imagination. We still feel some sort of sense of agency, for example, when I imagine I'm throwing the baseball. However, I feel like maybe in imagination, for example, we don't have that much of extended agency because there's nothing actually well controlled in an imagination. So I wonder if you have any thoughts about this.
So far, I work only on perceiving agency and not on imagination, but it is an interesting field of research, of course, to develop this with other intentional acts, as Husserl mentioned.
Thank you for the thoughts. So I'm also wondering the one kind of, so it's a definition of the bodily agency and the extended agency is kind of, that's understandable and it's easy to separate one kind of aspect of the agency. And I'm wondering, this is kind of simple question, but what do you think about the tool use? So the tool, for example, the robotic hand or some kind of the tools. And so the tool use is kind of course, this is extended to from the body, but connecting to the body, and one basic aspect is embodiment to the tool use. So this is kind of one getting used to the using the tool. So this is somehow people perceive like that this is kind of extension of my body and kind of one part of the body. So what do you think about that? If the people get used to using the tool and feel like my own body like.
I consider extended agency as a sense of controlling, not an extension of the body. Because in this case, you don't have this, the so-called double sensation. That is the fact that you can, as if I touch my body, I can have the touching hand and the touch hand. So my body is at the same time subject and object. When I touch a robot hand, this doesn't occur. At least you have to do a prolonged training. But the problem more generally with regard to robots, if they perceive agency, if you can build a robot that can have extended agency, the problem is that they lack the body. They lack the body, they lack the intrauterine life. They don't have a mother. They don't have a caregiver after that take care of them, a caregiver of the same species.
It's a bit of a follow-up to the previous question, but I was thinking of cases that you said that bodily agency is like a necessary component of the sense of agency, whereas the extended agency is a bit more additional. But think of like playing computer games, Super Mario. I think you usually have a sense of agency over the Mario avatar, and that to me looks like a case of, in your terminology, a case where you have an experience of like extended agency of the avatar without a bodily sense of agency of the avatar. How would you interpret that kind of example in your framework?
You have the bodily agency. This bodily agency is the necessary condition to extend this agency. But on Mario, you have only the sense of control. If you touch Mario, you don't touch yourself. You don't feel that you touch yourself. You touch Mario on the screen.
But when you say sense of control, you mean, is that something different from the sense of agency?
It's different from bodily agency, even though they are complementary, because a body is always in the world, embedded in the world.
And so you say that you don't have a sense of agency over the Mario avatar. You usually have something different.
You have a sense of extended agency on Mario.
You have a sense of extended agency for Mario.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I think that's it. Thank you very much.